Hey, everybody. Welcome back to this teaching series on the book called The Funnel, 10 Secrets of Extraordinary Church Growth. My name is Ross Turner. I'm the author of the book, and we are in a series where we are going through each chapter of that book, all of the 10 secrets, and going in depth to what that chapter teaches. And some of us are more visual learners, so I wanted to do this video series so that you could consume the information in the way that your brain best learns. And one of the things that I wanted to say is, if you're jumping in on this video right here, I would highly encourage you to go back and watch the other videos so you have a full lay of the land when it comes to the context of what we're doing, why we're doing it. Everything's been building upon each other. And listen, we all know that God is the one that brings the growth. God is the one that brings the increase. And our job is just to be faithful. And so this book was written from that heart perspective. We're just trying to be faithful with what God has given us, what God has called us to. And if you're somebody who's leading a church ministry that lives in a city that's trying to reach more people than are coming through the doors on Sunday, and you just want to do that part of the ministry with excellence, well, this book was written and this teaching series was written and recorded for you so that you can know how to do it with excellence. By the way, if you don't know me, my name is Ross Turner. I'm the author of the book, but I'm also the CEO and founder of Vibrant Agency. We are a church marketing and communications company. So a lot of churches would love to have a communications director or a marketing director on their team, but sometimes the people don't line up, or, it's impractical to hire somebody who has all of the skill set in one person. Well, we're the answer to that problem. We have people that with one hire, we can truly be a part of your staff on site when needed, daily communicating with you so we can help you do the things that are taught in this video. If you'd like a one-on-one consultation or to learn more about us, click on the links, visit vibrantagency.com. We'd love to talk with you. This video is secret number 7, the perfect church website. So we talked a lot about social media, branding, marketing, photography. Now we're going to talk about the perfect church website. Vibrant Agency was started a long time ago, primarily as a church and ministry and nonprofit website company. So I really am passionate about churches having a really well done website. I do think in today's day and age that social media has taken the place a lot of times over website, but your website is usually step 2 in the journey of somebody trying to learn about your church. And I think it's really important. So we're going to go over this. The chapter starts like this. Most pastors would love to have an amazing website, one that has all the bells and whistles, and more importantly, one that gets people in the doors on Sunday. But most people don't have a full-time web developer on staff, nor do they have $15,000 to $20,000 to drop on a custom-built website. We have had years of experience developing completely custom websites for churches all over the world. And with this experience, I have been able to identify some areas that can really make or break a church website. And there are just some truths of what works and what doesn't work on a website. It always surprises me when you see some churches that are brand new, even in pre-launch phase, that have a killer website that is completely on point with today's standards and designed with excellence. And then some very large ministries that are so far behind schedule, and they could really add some rocket fuel to what God's already doing through their ministry, but they just have a really outdated website. And it really surprises me at how it's reasonably easy fix if you know what's important and what's not important. First thing to think about is, who is your website built for? Who is your church website built for? Well, it's a complicated answer because it is built partially for the people who are already attending your church. There's elements of your website that are resources for a church, and those are important. Those are not to be, something that's understated. People that want to go and listen to the messages, people that need to see what events are coming up, and need to know where they can sign up, and they need to be reminded of the contact information. Their Bible study. There's so many resources that are important to have on your website, yes, but I do believe that is secondary to who the website primarily is for. You have to remember, if your church is called to reach people, there is a journey that they go through prior to showing up on Sunday morning. And one of the steps along that journey is going to be landing on your website. And those people are on your website because at that point in the journey, they have a genuine interest in who are these people? Are these my people? Are these, weird people, normal people, my people? They're really genuinely, as the world would call it, a hot lead. There's somebody who's really showing interest in going deeper with the church. And that spot on the website, we want to dedicate our website to somebody in that state of mind, because we're really called to change their lives for eternity. And I believe that takes priority over signing up, for the next potluck. That's still important, but we want to put the first things first. And that person is who we're thinking of primarily. You should be speaking to the non-member when choosing the hierarchy of information on your website. The colors, and even the call to action, every decision regarding page order, content, and verbiage needs to be pointed towards reaching the lost and those who are seeking a church home. So now you're coming from ground zero, where you're looking at your website and you're saying, do I have the right information in the right order? The hierarchy of information is generally what gets missed by churches. They get, that filled with ooh and ah over some other website that a church has or ministry has, and it has a lot of cool things and a really fresh and unique design, and that really gets people excited. However, you want to make sure that you're saying the right thing in the right order if you're thinking of the non-church member, right? We want to give them an easy entry path. We want to make sure that we're saying the right things in the right order. So what does that look like? Here's a story from this chapter. My family and I live on the central coast of California. When we first moved here, we knew that we needed to find a church family. So what was my first step? I got out my iPhone. I did a quick Google search for churches in my area. There were 7 or 8 results that seemed like a potential fit, so I pulled up each of their websites to check them out. Some of the websites looked like they were built 15 to 20 years ago, which gave me the vibe that those churches were totally outdated. Was that true or not? That's the vibe I got. Some of the church sites didn't even work really on an iPhone, so I couldn't even learn much about them. And some of the websites took so long to load that I just moved on and gave up on it. We did eventually find a church through their website that seemed pretty good. We then visited in person for a few weeks and we really enjoyed it. We had then found our new church home. I was very glad we found it and quite thankful that their website gave us such a good first impression, because if it had not, we probably would have not attended. We didn't have friends in the area at the time, so searching online was really the only way that we knew how to check out our options. The truth is, I probably missed out on some really wonderful churches by simply making my judgment based on their website, and I know that. But how many other people were turned away because of that same bad experience? You have to assume that many other people will go through the same exact process that me and my family did when they are looking for a new church. This is why your website is a big deal. Now, a lot of people put a huge emphasis on SEO. We want our church to show up in the top, 3 results on Google, which is important. But a lot of the churches that I found when I was doing my Google search did show up on the top 5, 6 results. And I looked at them and it was like, no, thank you. So it isn't just about showing up on Google. It's if you do show up on Google and you go to the website, is it a good experience or a bad experience? And shallow as it may be, we made our initial church decision based on what I found online, which one seemed like a good fit for my family from what I saw online. I wasn't going to show up on Sunday to test the waters and see if their in-person was much different than they presented online. I was turned off by that, and there was no coming back from that. You fast forward 13 years later, and I've actually helped a lot of the churches rebuild their websites for them. But that process that me and my family went through, you have to assume that there are more people that go through that. Now, I was in a situation where I transitioned from a different area to here. However, some people will be in that situation, but some people will just be in a life transition where they, are looking to take their next step in faith because of whatever they're going through in life. And they might go through that same process. So it's more than ranking on Google. It's how are you presenting online? Let's talk about it. Maybe I'm convincing you that it's like, hey, we need to up our website game. We need to really think about improving our website. Well, here are some options that you have. There's really, as of today, there's really only two options for the kinds of websites that you can have. There's two primary options. You can have a custom-built website, or you can have a template website. So let's talk about the two. Let's explain what your options are. A custom-built website and a template website. Let's start with template. A template-built website is a service that you can sign up for where you have relatively low cost. You usually have a monthly cost anywhere as low as $20 or $30, all the way maybe as high as $200. And sometimes there's an initial setup and design fee that could be $1,000. But this is the cheap way of doing it. This is the low cost way of doing it. And what it is you can sign up for a mainstream company like Squarespace or something like that. And they will have a template for you. And then you can find a template that looks good, in your opinion, and put your own words on there, your own photo on there, and rearrange it to your liking. And you can manage it quite easily just by having a dashboard and a login. You can rearrange the content. Pretty much anybody on the church can do that. It's very user-friendly and does the job like a lot of the time. It's a low-cost way of doing it. You're probably never going to feel insanely, overwhelmingly pleased, like you have the best website ever and you're so happy about it. But, it gets the job done, and it's a respectable looking website. There are churches that have contacted me, good-sized churches that are using things like Squarespace or a Christian version of Squarespace. There's like 4 or 5 of them, and it gets the job done. It's cheaper, it's more cost effective. It's not going to wow anybody, but if you put the time into picking really nice photos, thinking about the words and the buttons, it can really get the job done. The other side of it, and by the way, on a template, it could only take maybe 2 weeks to set up. It's not that bad of a setup process. Again, it's not going to overwhelm anybody with, this overwhelming sense of excellence, but it's going to get the job done. Lower setup time. The other side is the custom website. So the negatives with a custom website is you either have to have a staff member or a volunteer on the church that is a developer who can develop the website, using custom coding. And the other option is to hire a company like Vibrant Agency or many others that can custom develop for you a website. The cost is going to be high. But the pros are that you're not going to have the same looking website as every other church. You're going to have a website that's custom designed by professionals. So it's going to have a much longer shelf life. You at that point are going to have a website that people are like, oh, wow, this just exudes excellence and creativity. And it's really built for a church. So you think of the other ones, they're built just for ease of use. This is built for your church. What's the unique vibe? What's the unique things that you have for your kids' ministry, for your Bible study, for the way that you guys operate, for the look and feel? Everything is done to the point of you're like, wow, yes, we're proud of that. A custom-built website might have a shelf life that's exceedingly longer than a template website, and is probably going to give you the most feeling of excellence. And then, by the way, you'll have the most control. You're not limited to what a template can do as far as their layout. You can pretty much do whatever you want. So those are the two options. You could be charged anywhere from as low as $10,000 to as high as $50,000 for a custom-built website. Or if you have a staff member on site that can do it for you. So that's kind of what it looks like for the two options. If you have the ability to go to a custom website, that's obviously what's better, a custom suit or a suit off the rack? Well, I mean, they're both respectable, but a custom suit is what you're going to do if you have the means to do it. You're really not limited in any way. You can have a website that does things that you can just imagine instead of, we just got to work within this template. So that is the two options that you have. So let's talk a little bit more about this. Let's say that you're thinking about your website. Let's say that you're doing a custom website, or maybe you're just thinking about the design. You're going to go with a template website. Here's what's very important, okay? You want to have a mobile first design. So what does that mean? We look at the analytics of all the churches that we work with, so many over the years, and here's what's very consistent. Somewhere between 70 to 85% of all of your website traffic is going to come from mobile compared to a laptop or a desktop. However, most people spend almost all of their time thinking about the design of their website while thinking it from a desktop or a laptop sort of a look. And they're just hoping that it looks good also on a website. It should be flipped, almost like if you were building an app. Most of your traffic, exceedingly most of your traffic, is going to come from an iPhone or an Android or a mobile device. Not even tablets. It's going to come from a phone. So you want the design of your website to be done for that experience. And then, oh, by the way, of course, we want it to work well on a desktop as well, but the design is for mobile. That's a different way of thinking about it. So I would say this, you want to, what does it look like? If I'm designing an app, for example, you look at Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, social media apps, your banking apps. If you look at almost all apps that you have, here's some practical things. You have the menu down at the bottom, so somebody can tap with their thumb. Like, think about when you're on Facebook, you're tapping with your thumb. But most of the time when it's a desktop version, they're making the menu items be up here, so you have to reach with a secondary hand. These are just little details that I'm about to say to you, but the difference between a fine website and a great website is a bunch of these little details. So, for example, you want to be wary of any website designer or company that says, hey, your website is going to be responsive. Responsive is the word that a lot of times that they use. What does that mean? They mean, hey, we're going to design it for desktop, but if somebody visits it on a mobile device, it's going to restack everything and it'll still work on a phone. It's the wrong way of thinking about it. You want the website to be designed for mobile, just like if you were designing an app. And then, yes, I want it to expand and also be phenomenal on a desktop. This is a mobile experience that we're thinking about. Here's another thing about having a mobile first design. You do not want to have a website that you have to scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll to get all of the content on the page. That's not how we operate on a phone. Most of the time with a phone, you want to be able to see most of the content within a few swipes. So what does that mean? Most content on a website, you want to have it be expandable and collapsible. Let's say, for example, the Our Beliefs page on a website. Instead of having words and then words and then words and then words, you can have it be expandable and collapsible. What do we believe about the Holy Spirit? Hit the plus icon, you can read it, and it goes back. What do we believe about healing? You put the plus icon, you read it, and it goes back. Things like that, events, details like that, make it so that it's a mobile, pleasant experience. So the viewers that you're going to have, 80-ish% of them, will have a phenomenal experience on their mobile device. Let's talk now about the perfect homepage. Why are we going to spend a bunch of time talking about the homepage? Well, here's another stat that blows my mind, is somewhere around 70% of the time, the traffic that you get on your website, they never leave the homepage. So we might have 42 pages on a website, which is great, but almost all of the time, the people never leave the homepage. And by the way, who are the people? Well, we're primarily trying to target this towards the non-church members. So now we know that they're probably not going to leave the So we need to be extremely strategic about what we put on the homepage. So let's talk about it. What should be on the homepage? First and foremost, a very important thing when it comes to a church website, especially the homepage, is what is the call to action? Call to action is a huge thing when you're in the secular world and you're dealing with a sales or a lead generation website. The thing that is an issue is when somebody lands on the website and they have to dig to find out what their next step is. You want to blatantly inundate them with what you want them to do. The call to action, which is a button that says something, needs to be consistent and all over the place. Repeated in the footer, in the header, before the fold, which is the marketing term for before they even have to scroll. They have to know what you're asking them to do. They may not do it, but the worst thing that you can do is make it be unclear what they're supposed to do. So you can decide as a church what that call to action should be. Maybe it's to click on the I'm New page, or visit us on Sunday, or watch a message. You can leave that to your discretion. I recommend a page dedicated towards talking about I'm New, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But to not have a clear and repeatable call to action is a mistake. Another mistake people make is they have buttons that are inconsistent. Buttons or calls to action that are inconsistent. They might have a button on the homepage that says I'm New, or plan a visit, or watch a message. Then you scroll down a little bit more and it says kids ministry. And you scroll down a little bit more, it says youth ministry. You scroll down more, it says contact our team. And then there's tons of calls to action. You don't know what you're actually supposed to do. You would be surprised. This seems like it's obvious, but I'm telling you, you need to make it repeated over and over and over. There's one consistent call to action all over the place. Now you can have secondary links, but the main call to action should never change. Okay, so one primary, and you can have one secondary. A common theme is to have a solid, bold button that says plan your visit, or I'm New, and then a second like hollow or just underline one that says watch our messages. So they know the main one and the second one, but that is going to be repeated in the footer. That is going to be repeated on like the next section of the homepage, on the other pages of the website. That set of information, the hierarchy of the main call to action and the secondary one, is repeated consistent. Here's what it says in this chapter. In sales, you are taught to have a clear call to action on your website, and it has to repeat on every single page. Always make it obvious to the user. In the marketing industry, professionals have found that people need to know immediately what you want them to do, or they won't do it. You must never assume that people will know what the call to action is. Take the test. When you open your website, would you know what your next step is within the first few seconds? If users have to search for it, they won't. So audit your own website. Open it up, see it from that fresh perspective, and know, hey, if I'm new here, do I know what they want me to do? I mean, I show my service times, but you have to be more obvious than that. You have to tell people that they're invited and what they should click on to do next. Okay? Here's what the next section says. On your homepage, take people on a journey as they scroll down. Give people the questions and then give them the answers. People best consume ideas in sets of threes. There should be 3 steps on your homepage journey and no more than 3. These are the 3 questions that you should ask and then answer. Number 1, who are you? Number 2, why does it matter to them? Number 3, what should they do next? Who are you is where your main headline goes. Make your headline enticing so that people are curious enough to keep scrolling. Here are some examples that give you an idea of what a great headline would be on your homepage. Your life is about to change. Orlando will never be the same. Are you ready to experience something different? These are hooks. These are enticing headlines that start to get people curious of what this story is, what the journey is that they're about to be on. Let's now talk about putting time into your I'm new and your plan a visit page. People can have different titles for this, but you want to have a page on your website that's completely dedicated to somebody. People have different titles for what this page may be, whether it's I'm new or plan your visit, but you want to have a page on your website that's completely dedicated towards the next step somebody can take if they want to join on a Sunday. There's questions that they have that you can answer for them. This is usually what I would recommend as the primary call to action on your site. So let's talk about how to do it right. Listen to this. There are 3 key sections that you must have on your Plan Your Visit page. First, clearly list your service times and locations, including a street map. Oh my gosh, I cannot tell you how many church websites I have found that you have to dig so deep to find out where and when this church meets. I'm telling you, you have to be exceedingly obvious. The things that you just assume, they don't. You need to let them know that. You would be surprised at how many churches actually make this hard to find. Make sure your page mentions parking instructions along with a map of the church campus if you have one. Second, give an overview of what the service will be like, including an FAQ, frequently asked questions section that users can answer questions about the length of service, denomination, dress type, and worship style. Finally, dedicate a section to your kids' ministry. Parents want to know what your kids' facilities are like and what your children's ministry programming is and what age groups are on. Make sure to have great photos of your kids' facilities along with action shots of happy kids and volunteer. You may have a kids' ministry page on your website, but there should also be a section on the I'm new page. You want to put some serious time and thought into this page. And then here's the big suggestion that I have. I highly suggest having a point of view video dedicated to this page, the I'm new page of your website. What is a point of view video? This is a fun video that you can do where you, on a Sunday, just one Sunday, have somebody take a camera and do a fun video that shows somebody parking and what it's like to be greeted in the hallway, what it's like to drop your kids off, what it's like to go get coffees and donut, whatever, in the foyer, what it's like to find a seat, what it's like singing the worship, what it's like, hearing the message, what it's like during prayer time, what it's like picking up your kids, what it's like in the parking lot on the way home. A quick 45-second video that shows people what the whole vibe is like on Sundays. They can see where in the park. They can see what the kids look like. They can see, now they have a sense of comfort that they didn't have before about what it's like on Sundays. That video can live forever on the I'm new page, and it will probably be your highest played video on YouTube. People love those kind of videos. You have to put the work in to make it once, and you set it and forget it. Highly suggest that on me. Now, the last thing I want to teach you about for the perfect church website is your load speed. Your church's loading speed is incredibly important. One of the things that I mentioned in my earlier story is I went to a couple church websites and I sat there on my phone and it took so long to load that eventually I just gave up on it. Sometimes people will experience a church website that loads pretty quickly on desktop, but sometimes on a phone, it's a different experience, but that's where most of your traffic is. You need your website to load quickly. Here's what the book says. When we at Vibrant Agency test a church's website load speed, the average time is between 4 to 5 seconds on desktop and 6 to 7 seconds on mobile. This doesn't sound like a big, long time, right? Wrong. In the corporate world, this would never be acceptable. they would know that they are losing thousands of dollars because of a high bounce rate. Bounce rate is when people just leave. They hit your website, but they just leave. It took too long. The standard in the world that is agreed upon by most industries is no more than a 3-second load speed, both on mobile and desktop. I know that may seem excessive, but anything longer than that, and you will see a drastic increase in your bounce rate. Remember, every second counts. You need to have that church loading quickly, and if it's not, you got to figure out why. There's a variety of things. It could be your server. It could be if you're doing a template site, sometimes those load longer. But here's some things that are common problems that cause long load speeds. Number one, if your images are too large, that's going to kill your load speed. A lot of churches have huge, big, images that are, large, 20 megabytes, because they're this beautiful image. That takes forever to load. As a standard, you should not have any images, photos on your website that are larger than 200 kilobytes. 200 kilobytes. That's our standard when we're making a website. That you can do that in a way that still looks phenomenal. You should have a different image that's cropped differently, that's even smaller, probably for mobile. But if all of your images adhere to that standard, you should have successful load speed. Most churches are having exceedingly higher file sizes than that, and it takes forever to load, which is why the website takes too long to load. Number two, videos are a menace for websites. Everybody loves to have those cool looping B-roll videos, that are a collage of the vibe on Sunday on your homepage. I love them. And if you do it right, they won't negatively affect your load speed. But a lot of times those videos are huge file sizes and they kill your load speed. You can do those videos, and the standard should be that they're no more than 30 megabytes. Hard to make a video that's small in file size, but I've done it probably 1,000 times. You can do it. You need to make the video somewhat short. People are going to sit there and watch a minute long of looping B-roll video anyway. 20 seconds is pretty much long enough. Loop that thing. The other thing is take the first frame of the video. Don't have it fade in from black. Have it start right away and have the first frame be a still image. And that could be what's called your poster image. So as the website loads, you start with just that still image, and the video's loading in the background. The user doesn't realize that something's loading in the background, and they just think they're on the website. And then eventually it starts playing. So maybe it's only a 1 or 2 second lag, but instead of having them just wait for the website to load, it's loaded, and then the video starts playing. Most of the time, if it's 30 megabytes, it'll instantly play, but this is a fail safe. Another thing is, you can have, if you have somebody on your team who is a developer, have your developer change the order in which things load. You can, with a custom website, tell your website, load this image, then this image, then this video, then this video, then this section, whatever. So you know that the person that's landing on the top of the homepage, they don't have to wait. By default, the site will wait till the entirety of the page has fully loaded and then show the website. But you can have it be where it loads things top first, middle, bottom. So the person is right away being able to see the homepage. And by the time they're ready to scroll, that stuff is already loaded. That shaves off another second or two. And here's the big ticket. This is the big secret that we've done thousands of times. You want to use loading animations. Loading animations are a way to have your website be loading in the background, yet the user doesn't realize it because they're watching a fun animation of your logo. And that allows the website to be loading in the background, but the user doesn't leave because they sense that nothing is wrong. I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to give you 2 examples of what this looks like. This will drastically help you. So watch this. I'm going to share my screen right now, and you're going to see a website for a church in my area. And when I'm going to hit refresh, this is how this site loads. See this loading animation? In the background, the site was loading. Here, look at our own website, vibrantagency.com, a huge website. As this site is loading, you have this loading animation that happens so people don't leave, but that gave the site a second to load. So now you are having a much lower bounce rate because people don't think that they're waiting on anything. They're just seeing the animation of the site. Guys, I hope this has helped you. The sum of all these little steps that we talk about in each of these chapters done right will allow you to know, hey, I've been faithful. I've done my job. We have put our best foot forward. Dedicate your website to the person that is new and think about your load speed. Think about the hierarchy of information that you're saying on your homepage. Have a clear, consistent, repeatable call to action. Spend some time on the I'm new page and realize that you're going to be speaking to the person that is probably not a member of your church yet. And then you will have the perfect church website. Next one that we're going to be talking about is a great video. I hope that you watch all the previous ones, and I can't wait to see you on the next one.